Hello everyone, CatWeazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome back to our playthrough of Perdition's Mouth, Abyssal Rift, where we're just about to get started on episode 1. Just before I do, there was a slight error in the introduction and setup episode. I actually had our heroes on the map and they don't start on the map. So here they are, just at the side of the map, and then as we use them, we will put them onto the map at the starting square, which is here. I hope you can see the little laser dot. It's a little Christmas present I got, so just makes it easier to point stuff out. So I'll use that rather than a drinking straw or a wooden meat skewer, which I've used in the past. So we've got that. I've also got another laser thing, which I've had for a while, and we'll just use this for things like line of sight because it's very useful for it. So very similar gadget, but it's for line of sight. So if you see those coming onto the board, you know what they are. What you may also notice as well is our heroes are a bit lighter than they were previously. I've primed all the heroes white. It's just to make them stand out from the monsters, which remain grey. I've also made all the sort of dungeon furniture white as well, so things like the portcullises and the treasure chests and the doors, they've all had a coat of primer as well, just to make them stand out a little bit for you guys. Okay, so what have we got to do before we start? Well, our heroes are going to need cards, so we will draw their starting hands, then we will start episode 1. Let's get across to the player area. And here we are at Tyra's player area. Now, there is a card already out, but this is just a card for her Berserk Rage. It's just a summary, so if we ever have her going Berserk, I can reference this card. So that's all that is. So we'll put that there. So let's get a deck. Here is a hero deck. We'll give it a little shuffle. And she has a starting hand size of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the deck back. Put it up there. So let's see what we've got. First of all, we have Bodyguard, which is a reaction. Play when an adjacent hero takes damage. You take the damage instead. You also gain a wound card. Remove this card from your deck for the rest of the level. So quite a powerful card, hence rest of the dungeon level you'll get rid of it. You go on to another level, you will get it back. Won't affect us, because if we do use it as a reaction, then we're only doing a one-shot sort of scenario, so we won't get another level. But if we were doing another level, we'd get it back when we went to the second level. What's it got on here? Luck is one thing, brave deeds another. So there you go, we've got Bodyguard. Put that up there. And next we have Rage. As you can see, this card, we can use it for movement, for defense, for resting, for special and for combat, and it will give you two action points. Let another's wounds be your warning. Well, there you go. So we've got Rage. That there. The third starting card is Headbutt. This is a combat card. Gives you 3 action points. Be warned by another's woe. There we are. And our final card is Adrenaline Boost, another combat card. Gain a fatigue and you gain plus 13 combat. Woo! Remove this card from your deck for the rest of the level. It's the Kickstarter card. So not everybody will have this. I got this as part of the Kickstarter. He who speaks many words says little of worth. So that's a pretty cool card as well. So those are our 4 starting cards in the starting hand for Tyra. Let's have a look at Olazabal. And here's Olazabal. One thing to notice about Olazabal is she doesn't actually start on 5 as her health. 4 is actually what is circled. So we actually start on 4. Now, she has got the healing apparatus and stuff, so she can move it back up to 5. Because, obviously, it's part of the track, but she actually starts on 4 because that is circled. So, just to explain that. Now, she has a starting hand size of 5. So, let's pick 5 cards. Quick cut. And first card is Gasoline. So again, it's one of those cards where you can use it for pretty much everything. Gives you 2. So many uses for such a simple substance. So there you go. So we've got Gasoline. As I mentioned, although it's got a fantasy sort of bent to it, it is pretty steampunky. So that's why you have things like Gasoline in the game. Experimental Device. Excellent, because I think this is the Kickstarter card. It is brilliant. So as a reaction, this provides 13 for aiding and you gain a fatigue. Remove this card from your deck for the rest of the level. It's a pity that I have to reveal this project so soon. So that is a good one. So glad to see that. Our next card, the third card, is Extra Steam. So it's movement, and you can draw 2 response cards to give you extra action points. Movement and action points, they're like interchangeable. Yeah, there aren't really such a thing as movement points. It's all action points, and it just depends what you spend them on. Yeah, so 2 response cards. Hopefully it will give you extra action points, which you then can use as movement using the Extra Steam card. Ha! I finally figured out how Overdrive works. Put that there. Fourth card is Grease. Again, can pretty much use it for everything. It gives you 3 action points. Get your hands dirty, or don't start at all. Fair enough. There we go. And her final card is Bonesaw. So this is a combat card. Your attack's range becomes at 1 to 2 and gains combat +5. When you choose your target, draw a response for each hero within 1 range of the target. This attack also targets each hero whose response had a eye. So yes, it's a I think that's the Bonesaw that she's actually carrying. You know, that big, like, sort of circular saw thing that she's carrying on a mini. So obviously it's a bit dangerous. So if heroes are within 1 of that, they have got to make sure that they do not get any damage. He's wearing armour. I fail to see how that affects me. Nice one. So those are her 5 cards. Good stuff. And we'll put this back. Put it at the back there. And our final hero is Elisa. So let's get across there. And here's Elisa. So let's pick her cards. Again, quick shuffle and a quick cut. And let's see what we get. So first up we have the Elvish Dagger. So combat card, again, gives you 3 action points. If your attack deals damage, return this card to your hand. Brilliant. So it can be used again. Sharp, pointy, useful, but sadly not very stylish. Oh, I think we'll put up with that. So that is her Elvish Dagger. Next, she gets a Ghostly Helper. Can use it for everything. It is 3 action points. It really is better as a pantomime. For some, speech isn't an advantage no matter how much you think of it. Well, there you go. So that is Ghostly Helper. Next card is Helping Hand. Again, she seems to be... she has quite a few cards that can help everybody. So, again, can be used for pretty much anything. And it's 2 action points. Never bet with a dwarf. The results can be very unexpected, especially if you win, I imagine. So that's Helping Hand. And we have Teleportation as our 4th card. Once during your movement, you may teleport 4 squares at no cost. You may move diagonally with this. Remember, normally you cannot move diagonally, but with teleportation you can. Remove this card from your deck for the rest of the level. Yes, this is a special card, so quite powerful, so you can only use it once per level. As a creative person, you just put something into the consciousness of the society you live in. Super. And she does have a hand size of 5, so we've got one more card. Torrent of Fire, good. This is a special, so that is what that symbol means. Cast a flaming spell. You lose 1 wound. Make an area attack with combat +4 against each figure in a 6 range cone. So if we use this, I'll show you what that is. It's all in the rulebook. This attacks heroes as well as enemies, so we've got to keep that in mind. Bright light, cinders, ash and smoke. A winning combination in countless shows. So there we go. I'm getting from her flavour text that she is a bit of a diva indeed, hence her diva passive ability. She's a bit of a show person, it looks like. Right, let's put that there. So those are our starting hands. Having done that, let's get on with episode 1 proper. Let's get into the hero phase. And here we are at the hero phase. So our first player is going to be Tyra. First thing we need to do is we need to put all the pegs facing outwards so we know that all of our heroes have yet to go this turn. So we've done that. Tyra's going to go first. We've got to use a Stone of Destiny first, and we've got to have moved at least 1 segment. You cannot stay where you are. So you've got to spend at least 1 action point on the Stone of Destiny. Now, as it stands, we have Olazabal in the next segment. Now, that is totally full up, so we can skip that. That will not cost us an action point because it's full. There are spaces on the attack segment, but there's nothing for us to attack, so that'd be a waste of time. However, we do have the sprint segment up here. That will cost us 2 action points. Skip, 1, 2. So we'll go up to sprint. That puts us down to 3 action points in our pool. But if you have a look on the sprint segment, you will see that there is a response card. So hopefully we'll be able to boost it with a response card. So let's see what we get. There are also minuses in here and zeros, so it's a bit hit and hope, but let's see. And we get a +2. Brilliant. So the 2 action points we spent getting to the sprint part of the Stone of Destiny, we have got back via the response card. So we are back up to 5 action points. What we've got to do now is, because we're doing movement, before we actually start moving, we've got to make sure we commit any of our cards that we want to use for movement before we actually start. 5 isn't really going to get us anywhere. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you can't go diagonally. That'd get us to here. Now, ideally, I'd like to open that door. Now, that costs movement action points. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 to open the door. So we need at least 7. We've got 5. Having a look at our hand, we've only got 1 card that we can play. We have got Headbutt, but that's a combat card, so we could only play that for 1, yeah, because it's not a combat action, it's a movement action. But we do have Rage, and we can play the number on here for any of these symbols, of which movement is 1, and we only needed 2, so that's brilliant. So we're going to play that. That gives us 7 action points. So all we're going to do is we're going to open the door. Ideally, I would have liked to have got out into the corridor, but we don't have enough cards to do. I'd have to play Even if I played headbutt for the extra, that'd only get us one square out, and nothing would be able to get past us because you can't go diagonally, so we'd still be blocking the door. But I've got a plan for that. So opening the door is the main thing. So we're happy with that. So now we can start moving. Once we start moving, cannot play any extra cards. Just to mention, we cannot play any aid cards right at the beginning. Why? Because we're all off the map. When you're off the map, you cannot aid or be aided. So unfortunately, that's just one of the things that happens during the initial get onto the map round. We can't really aid each other. So C6, that is where we come onto the map. That costs us 1 action point to get there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 1 action point left. We will open the door. So there we go. She's opened the door and she stood in the doorway. That is it for Tyra's go. So we will turn her peg inwards and we know that she has gone. Next up is Olazabal. And here we are with Olazabal. We'll get rid of these cards first, which go into the discards. Sorry about that. I should have got rid of them at the end of Tyra's go. So now it is Olazabal's go. She's here on this special segment. Remember, Stone of Destiny first. She only has 4 action points. But she'd have to spend 1 to go to the attack segment because there's room. So that's 1. There's nothing to attack, so she's going to go to the sprint segment. So that's 1, 2. We are down to 2 action points. Now, with 2 action points, we come in here, 1, 2. We're still in Eliza's way, yeah? She wouldn't be able to get past and into the room. So we do need to give Olazabal a boost. So let's have a look at her cards. So she's got a couple of good ones. She's got including extra steam. But we'll keep that one because we only need to get her from here. So we will play gasoline for 2. Yeah. Oh, in fact, we may not even have to play that because I nearly forgot, didn't I? She's on the sprint. She's on the sprint segment, so she does actually get one of these. Another +2. So we don't have to play any. She's up to 4 action points again, so that'll be enough. We're going to keep her slightly in the background. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So she's right there. That is it for her go. I don't think we need to do anything else. That looks pretty groovy, and that is where we will leave it for Olazabal. So let's turn her peg inward. She is gone. We've got rid of the +2, put it in the discard. Next up, it is Eliza. And here we are with Eliza. We've got something funky planned for Eliza. One of the things that struck me about this game is while I was trying to learn it earlier on this afternoon, I thought, oh, there's some really good like strategic and tactical decisions that you make. Anybody who's watched any of my playthroughs in the past know I really enjoy that, you know, in Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror and stuff like that. And we've been quite lucky in what we've drawn because we're going to use one of her really good cards. But first of all, Stone of Destiny. So here she is. She's on the attack segment. We've got to expend at least one of her action points on the Stone of Destiny. She's got 5 in her pool as it stands. Sprint is full, so we can skip that. Defend, well, what's the point in defending? Absolutely none. So that's 1, and we'll go to charge. So she's going to spend 2 action points, put her down to 3, and she's on charge. What's charge? Well, you move, then attack. And remember, she is ranged. So she currently has 3 action points left. So if we were to use them for movement straight off, she'd go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, not much good. Yeah, nothing she can attack. That'd be the end of it. But if you remember, we pulled a rather groovy card at the beginning. Teleportation, which is a movement card, so we can use it. Remember, we haven't actually moved yet, so we can still play our cards. Once during your movement, you may teleport 4 squares at no cost, and you may move diagonally with this. And then we've got to remove this card from the deck for the level. As we're only doing a one-shot scenario, we're pretty much getting rid of the card for good. But let's do it because it'll allow us to have a look at some of the, you know, funky mechanics of this game. So there we go. As a creative person, you just put something into the consciousness of the society you live in. So she's going to play that. We do not get a response card because there's not a response card on here, but that'll go 1, 2, 3. We play that at no cost and we can move 4. So and move diagonally. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put her here. So if we were to put her there, let's use one of my funky laser pointers. So we've put her there. That is the centre of that square where we're going to put her. And look at that acolyte. It is only 4 away. There is nothing in the way as regards line of sight. It is ready to be hit with something. But with what? Because what we can do is, I'm doing it now, but what we could do is we could do all that teleportation and movement. Yeah, we've got to sort all that out first as regards cards and everything. But then we move on to the attack phase, and then we could look at our attack cards. But we may as well do it now, just to make sure that we can go through the whole set of actions. So we've got teleportation to get us to there. Is there anything we can attack with? Remember, she's got a range of 6. Well, we've got Elvish Dagger, which is a combat card. That will give us 3. Yeah. If your attack deals damage, return this card to your hand. So even if we do some damage, we'll get the card back. Comes straight back to our hand. So that'd be useful to play, I believe. And I'll probably play Helping Hand as well, which is one of these cards. And we're going to play it as an attack. Yeah, +2. And you'll see why in a moment. But those are all the cards that we're going to use. As I say, I could have just used the movement cards, then moved, and then when we come to the attack segment of the charge action, then we could have looked at the combat cards. But let's get it sorted straight at the beginning. So those are the ones we're going to play. Again, we cannot be aided by anybody, so we'll just play these cards. We're playing a lot of cards and we're playing a very good one as well. Hopefully we'll get one back. We'll see. So Eliza comes on the board here. 1, 2, 3. Then we play teleportation at no cost. That leaves the board, leaves the game. And she moves 1, 2, 3, 4 to here. And in fact, I think we'll move her down 1. Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason for that is I want the... Oh no, we'll be alright. We'll leave her there. The reason for that is I want these 2 guys at the start of next turn, obviously, to get in front of her, because she's not got many hit points, so she needs to be protected, but these guys should be able to get in front of her. So this is the way you've got to think ahead all the time, which I'm quite enjoying about the game. So she's there. So that is the movement part of charge done. Now we are on the combat part. We're using the Elvish Dagger, which gives us 3 combat. She's got 6 range, and she's going to use Helping Hand for 2. So that is 5 combat. Let's have a look at our Acolyte Cultist on its chart. It has 1 defense, but we want to make sure that we get that wound and kill it because we want Elvish Dagger back. So, just to make sure, because what it is with Eliza doesn't have any combat of her own. She's at 0. So, it'd only be the 3 from the Elvish Dagger if we didn't play Helping Hand. And if you pulled a +2, which remember is the most common, remember the averages I talked about in the introduction episode, if you got a +2, that'd be a tie. And on a tie, he escapes. We do not want him to escape, because we will not do it any damage and we'll lose Elvish Dagger. So we're going to lose 2 cards, but let it be Helping Hand and Teleportation and not Elvish Dagger and Teleportation. And we've got a better chance of killing it, because we do not want him to get to the escape for the Acolytes and raise the alarm and raise the threat level. So 5. That is what we're playing, 5 combat. Now, the cultist has got 1 defence. He will pull a response card. He needs +4. Hopefully, he will not get +4. He gets +2. That's great. That is fantastic, because that takes him up to a 3 defence. He's been hit by 5 attack. He's dead. He goes into the dead pool. Helping Hand gets discarded. Sorry, into the right discard pile, not into Tyra's discard pile. But we get the Elvish Dagger back because we did do a wound. So that goes back into our hand. And that is it for her actions for this turn. So we'll turn that inwards. So as I say, that was a bit expensive to kill an Acolyte, but I think it's given you all a good idea of how the mechanics worked. So quite pleased with that, until of course somebody like Hans or whatever comes on and says like, no, that was wrong. But I think I've done it right. So there we go, we've managed to kill our first cultist, hopefully. That is the end of the hero phase. So next up we have the enemy phase. And here we are at the enemy phase. So first thing we've got to do is draw a response card. First thing we've got to look for is an eye. So there's a red eye, I think it's in the top right hand corner. Then we will have to do something with the spawn pools. We do not have the red eye. What we do have is a +2. So let's put that there. What this means is we have to move these beads on the enemy watchstone. So let's move the green one, 1, 2. So it goes to spawn. Then what we do is we catch it up with this guy, with the red one. So first of all, we move to the attack segment. That means that every single monster on the map will attack. Now, we don't have the Acolyte anymore. It's gone, it's dead. The other guys can't attack because they cannot see us. They probably know we're there, but they can't see us. If you just look here, there is an eye slit. Yeah, so he's sort of blowpiping through this eye slit, but it's only that arc that he can actually see. This guy, there's walls and all sorts in the way, so he can't see anybody. And this guy here is obviously behind a closed door. So none of the remaining monsters that are currently on the map can actually attack. So that's it. They don't attack. They don't move. They just tried to attack, couldn't. And then we move the bead to catch up to the spawn. So we've got to spawn something. It's a circular spawn, which means that is our primary spawn, which is over there. We can pick what comes out of the primary spawn. So obviously we're going to choose an Acolyte because they're the easiest. So here's an Acolyte. How do we actually spawn them onto the map? Well, Acolytes, unfortunately, spawn via trapdoors. So insectoids, they can only spawn via nests. We haven't got any nests, but we do have one trapdoor, and guess where it is? Yes, it's right here. Pretty much right behind Elisa, who we were trying to like protect. Now, this guy has to come out adjacent to it, and adjacent is, it has to be explained. Adjacent means at right angles to, yeah. So here here and here is adjacent to that trapdoor. These diagonal spaces where Eliza is and this diagonal space here are not adjacent. They're in range, but they're not adjacent to the trapdoor. So our friend here can only spawn here, here, or here. We will spawn him here, right behind Eliza. The reason for that is I'm hoping that one of these two guys next turn will be able to get in here and obviously kill him pretty quickly. So that'd be pretty cool. Get this guy killed, then we can sort of move on. But it's not ideal that he's here. The other thing, in fact, I'm going to move him there. I'm actually going to move him there because what he tries to do, he will attack if he has to attack, but generally he's trying to get out here and raise the alarm. So we'll put him there. Shouldn't be too bad. We probably get a laugh about to come round and do for him, while we get Tyra going mental and try to kill these two guys before we go through here and try and get to this door. So I think that's a bit of a plan, but having it spawn wasn't ideal. So the enemy watchstone, we moved it on to, we had the attack segment first, but there was nothing to attack. These are ranged and they didn't move because it's attack, and they had nothing that they could attack, so they didn't. Then we moved on to the spawn, and we could pick out the primary spawn pool what we wanted to spawn. So obviously we picked the easiest one, which is this acolyte here. Comes out adjacent to a trap door. That is the enemy phase. So there we go. That is it for turn 1. I'll come back in a moment. We'll talk a bit about how the turn went. I think we'll only do the first turn because it's my first game and I'm still learning it. So first couple of turns we'll probably just do, you know, a turn an episode, and then once I get a bit more confident we'll do 2 or 3 turns an episode. But I'll be back in a moment and let's talk about how the turn went. Right, I'm back. So, quick turn review. I think it went pretty well. I think I was able to show you quite a lot of the way that the game works. So, obviously it's an introductory sort of scenario anyway, so you're not going to see too much. There's loads of other things like the insectoids and, you know, nests and stuff like that that we're not going to get to in this particular scenario. But as regards the core basic mechanics, I think I was able to pretty much show quite a bit of it, which is pretty good for only one turn and the first turn at that. So we were able to show movement, drawing response cards, and we were able to show teleportation. That was funky, you know, being able to teleport over here. We were able to show an actual attack, so we were able to kill the acolyte, and we were also able to see, you know, a spawn work. So we got the acolyte coming out of the trapdoor here, and a quick chat about adjacency and range and that sort of stuff. So I think it went pretty well, and I really enjoyed it. As I say, it's really strategic. I like the way you've got to think before you actually start moving these guys around, and you've got to make sure that you've got enough cards and things like that in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Think it'll be a bit more interesting in the next round, because obviously they'll be able to aid each other next round. Because they were coming off the map, they weren't able to aid each other and play cards to help each other out. They should be able to do that next turn now they are all on the map. So hopefully I'll be able to show you an example of that. Hopefully we'll see a bit more combat next turn, as we've got a few monsters to deal with, especially that acolyte, because it's spawned in a real pain in the bottom place for us. So we'll have to get rid of that. Speed is of the essence, I think, in this particular scenario. We've got to get to that exit. So I don't mind that I've played quite a few cards. Normally, I suppose, if you're on a larger level and it's a bit more involved with more monsters on, you have to be a lot more careful with your cards. This is pretty much a race to that door where the exit is. So let's kill a few things on the way, but the whole idea is we get to that exit and we manage to get off the level. So we will try and do that. Some of the things you're not going to see, as I say, you're not going to see the insectoids, you're not going to see, you know, a victim rescue or anything like that. It is just like the introductory scenario. But hopefully you'll see how combat works, how the movement works, how the Stone of Destiny works, and how the enemy watchstone has been working, which is pretty good. What I like about the Stone of Destiny is you just can't do the same thing all the time. You can't like move, you know. You've got to break it up, so you've got to spend your points to decide exactly what you're going to do, and it means that you're not doing the same actions again and again and again. Like if you have a special that's really good, you can't just spam it. You've got to move around this Stone of Destiny so it breaks it up. And I'm also looking forward to, as I mentioned, the aiding, because I think that's really good in keeping... I mean, I'm playing solo, but if you're playing with a few friends, I imagine that keeps interest. You know, when it's not your turn, at least you're always on the ball and you're always invested because you're looking, hey, I can play this card to help you out. So everybody will be a little bit involved even on other players' turns, so I quite like that as well. Anyway, those are just some of the first thoughts I've had during the first turn, and it's making a good impression so far. And we've killed something, so woohoo! Well, I hope we have. I hope I've played it right. As I say, blind playthrough, first time I've played the game. I have read the rules and stuff, but normally that's not the way I learn. I do like to watch. So, bit of a learning curve for me. I hope I've not made any errors. Please let me know if I have, and I will try and fix them. So, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the subscriptions, thanks for all the views, thanks for all the likes, and thanks for all the help and support. As I say, made an error, please let me know, and we'll see how we go. Thanks also to everybody who's been to Board Game Links to upvote the site. That is much appreciated. Thank you, as are all the guys who go over to BGG and have made the comments on, you know, the various videos I've got over there, including the comments on this one that I posted up recently for Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift. So that is it for episode 1. I do hope you join me for episode 2 of Perdition's Mouth Abyssal Rift. But until then, this is me, CatWeazle, signing off. Toodaloo.